Yeah, for sure. And the question you asked is just like,
I got a mullet.
Like
How undercover does that look?
I know, man, but
Yeah,
like that's what the cops would say.
Yeah.
They'd be like,
That's what
hey,
they
we're going to
would
put Eric, dude, because, people aren't going to think he's a cop. He's got the mullet.
Yeah.
He looks like he parties.
He looks
and
like
shit.
he parties.
We're live.
All
We're
right.
live. We're back.
All right, we're back. Episode 67.
Keep
the Eric and
that
Tony
in there.
Show.
Don't cut that out.
Yeah, don't cut it out. With our co-host.
Ben made it. Remember today.
Yeah,
Yay.
that's right.
Ben
Oh, you guys
Gonzalez.
put me on blast for
Ben
for
Gonzalez.
last week.
Absolutely, yeah, dude.
A little
Nice.
bit.
Alex did his best Ben Gonzalez impression. So
Yeah.
You
You drank your
fill in
Coke Zero.
Latinos.
Yeah, exactly. Switch him out. Switch him out. No one even noticed. He's got a beard.
He got your free
A little bit shorter
Coca-Cola.
hair.
Yeah, that's hilarious, dude. George Lopez is busy. We got Paul Rodriguez.
Yeah, man. Welcome back. Glad to have you. I know
Yeah.
it's a
Thank you,
fucking-
guys.
it's
Sorry I missed last week. I was
Yeah.
stuck working.
It's funny because
It's been a busy week.
You didn't come last week. Not a lot of stuff going on in the media, right? This week, fire is going on. You're in like the heart of all that shit, with what you do for work. You're
We
like,
are reporting this show from hell.
Yeah.
We're recording this
Yeah.
from hell.
Yeah.
We could be under an evacuation order now. I don't know if the thousands of listeners at home know, but you guys record at Petty Cash Studios. Shout out Mark
It's
and
in the
Alex.
heart. Yeah.
That's right on the
The heart
Sunset
of the
Strip.
shit. Yeah.
The historic Sunset Strip, the Whiskey a Go-Go, famed rock and roll club of LA on that side, the Rainbow, the Roxy, other, famed rock and roll establishments on the other side.
Yeah.
We're right in the middle of it.
And the fire right behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You had to
I
evacuate.
did have to evacuate. I almost moved
You had to
back in with
evacuate
Ben.
too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was this close to living with Ben again. That was like the...
It's like,
We
come
all-
on home.
Yeah.
We're all this
exactly.
close to living with Ben.
Yeah.
Bro.
Hey, Ben.
I was like telling my son, I'm like, you know how much you love living with Uncle Ben? Well, we might do it again. Yeah, we might do it
Right?
again.
Hey, at least he was prepped,
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a fire broke out on Runyon Canyon, the top of the hill behind where this studio is, where you guys live.
Yeah.
Close by, and everyone had to evacuate. So this area, we were in an evacuation zone,
Yeah.
and now we're here recording the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we've instructed Mark and Alex to not tell us if the fire starts again, if there's an evacuation
Yeah.
happening during the show. We could be walking out
Sounds
to an
all the
inferno.
alerts, yeah.
Yeah.
We could be walking out to the studio deserted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like raging
Guys,
inferno outside.
Who's going to hit stop on the record? Who's going to upload
Yeah.
this? Yeah.
But hey, the show must go on.
They just
The
left
show
our
must go on.
producing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, we're out of here.
Engineers.
There's a fire. Yeah, that shit was fucking crazy though. Like living in
It was very surreal.
like neighborhood
Like-
for like almost 20 years, never having a problem with fires or any kind of like natural disasters, mudslides or any of that shit. It was always like, I'm fine. I'm on the like south side of Hollywood Boulevard, so I'm not really like up the hill, even though I'm like on a hill, I'm like,
So you're south of Hollywood Boulevard, but north of Sunset, right?
yes.
Okay.
So I'm
Yeah.
like,
Now, I'm
right.
north of Hollywood, so I was in
Yeah.
the shit. And it was like,
Yeah, he was literally on the other
Yeah.
side of the street, and I'm on the other
Yeah.
side of the street. So
But I was also like where the Waddles fire was. I'm on the other side of that block. So
Wait,
like,
are you still in the building where you guys used to live?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
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 My old
See,
room's
I
just
used
a
to live
shrine
on
now.
Franklin and Fuller.
Okay.
So we all basically live within a few blocks of each other.
yeah.
Yeah.
Before. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I
man.
never had like any kind of problems or like evacuations or any scares or nothing. Like the whole
Even
time
when
I've
like
been there.
the Griffith fire happened, like it was close, and then that was eerie.
Yeah.
But this shit was next level. Where like I was coming up Stanley, about to take a left on Hollywood, and it's just fire. Like it's just literally, it's like Hollywood Boulevard, and then like a little bit of greenery, and then just fire. I was like, oh, this isn't good. And Anthony's like asleep in my backseat. I'm like, hey buddy, it's time to wake up. This isn't the drill. We got to get up now. Like he fell
Yeah.
asleep in the car ride home, and I was like,
It's jarring, dude.
Yeah,
It's
dude.
glowing. It's huge. There's all
Yeah.
this smoke.
Yeah, you
man.
usually are like, oh, there's like you get a nice backdrop. You see Runyon Canyon, you see the rolling hills and the little mountain and all that stuff. And then I call him and I'm like,
I
or
called
he
you.
he called
I
me and was
called
like,
Eric because I was driving up Highland, and I was like, that looks like my part of the hill, but you know how it all bends around. It's kind of hard to tell,
I
So
know.
there's like this depth perception thing. So
Right.
like it's not that cut and dry. I was like, hey man, I might need to crash at your place tonight because I think my neighborhood is like on fire. and then like as I'm calling Eric, his roommate calls me after I drop the call to Eric. He's like, hey, you get old Eric? Like, I think we have to evacuate our building. I'm like, well, fuck. So I call Eric back. I'm like, all right, I guess you guys might have to evacuate too. Call your roommate because like he's freaking out and shit. And then like the second I get in my place, I get the initial notifications like, you like your area might be evacuated. Get ready, get your pets and like children ready and stuff like that. I was like, great. And then like 2 seconds, I was like, you got to leave now. Like it's the fucking last helicopter out of Vietnam. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
And then I just grabbed all my rolling luggage and started fucking just like ransacking my place like a burglar, just fucking taking all my clothes, putting like, shit and like, getting all the stuff, loaded up the Honda. But I didn't want to leave the Oldsmobile too, because I just got that thing dialed in, man. I'm not gonna like that fucking like burn to a crisp. So I was like,
dude, you saw like there's TikToks of all these guys in Altadena that had like low riders and like OG cars that just burnt to a crisp, dude.
Nah.
There's one guy looking through his garage like, my 63 is gone, my 66 is gone. You know what I mean? It's like, damn, that was almost Tony.
yeah, dude, for real. Luckily, I threw my kid sleeping in the back seat and drove to like Zanku Chicken over there, like right by like Sunset, and ditched my car there, then carried his little sleeping body back to my place and got in my dad.
I can't believe you did all that during that crazy shit.
Fuck yeah, man.
He evacuated his car to safety at Zanku Chicken.
The second that I went out from after him calling me, I'm like, I need to go and look at this and see, because I didn't know what was going on really. And then my roommate was like, he hadn't been outside either. So I'm like, let's go outside. Let's assess the situation, right? So as soon as we go outside, like all I see is the fucking mountain on fire, like right there, like coming at us. I'm like, oh, we need to get the fuck out of here. Like we didn't get an evacuation notice from my building at that time, but like 10 minutes later, they're like, everyone leave. Like, and then by the time I got
building told you?
Yeah, we had our building actually like emailed and texted us like evacuate the building and all that stuff. So by the time I got back into my apartment, there was like no cars left in our parking garage. And I was like the last like vehicle in there. And then I made like 3 trips down to my truck, loaded up my truck. Luckily he and I built it out for like camping and stuff. So it's like all ready to go. Right. It didn't take me more than like maybe 10 minutes to get like all my stuff. I don't have a lot of stuff.
And in that time, everybody left.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, and then we have like an electric gate that like, opens and closes, and there's no way to like unhinge it. Like there's no like safety mechanism to like, if the power goes out, to like get out, so my roommate's like, I'm getting my car out while the power is still on, and I was still like taking my shit down. But every time I'd bring like a bundle of stuff down, it'd be smokier and like smokier in my parking structure. And I'm like, this is getting fucking crazy. And then it's gridlock all in front of like where I would drive out to. So even if I do get out, like I can't really go anywhere. So I'm like, how fast is this? The whole time I'm not looking at the mountain. I'm like, just knowing that it's like an inferno, looks like fucking Armageddon out there. So I'm like, okay, like how fast is this moving? Like how much time do I really have? So then I'm starting to sweat a little bit.
That's all the stuff that goes through your head. And then there's also the possibility that you loaded all your important stuff in your car. Yeah. And then you end up having to ditch your car burned.
Exactly.
But your house is okay.
Exactly. You know what I mean? I was like, if I get stuck in this traffic jam, are they going to be like the Palisades where like people just ditch their cars and like they have a bulldozer and it's like bulldozing like cars out of the way? I was like, this is like real, like it was really hairy for about a good like hour, where I was like just in my truck, like not going anywhere in traffic, like looking back like every like 5 minutes to see like, is this progressing like fast enough to where like I'm going to be fucked and I need to like just jump out of this thing.
Dude, and that happens a lot. There was that town, Paradise, California, like a few years ago where the whole town burnt down. There's a Netflix documentary about it, but that town had like one road in and out.
Yeah.
Basically, you know what I mean? So if there's the one road, everybody's on that road. It's total, gridlock if you have to evacuate, and everybody winds up like ditching their cars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like, what are you going to do?
Yeah, it was definitely like surreal. Like I was like, this is like in a fucking movie. It's just like literally like a fucking disaster movie. Like this is crazy.
It was like a Christmas Carol for you, because it was like the ghost of roommates past, the ghost of roommates present. You know what I mean? Like everyone came to visit Eric.
I felt pretty like after I got past like Sunset and I think it was like after you got past like Santa Monica Boulevard, it kind of opened up a little bit, and like I knew I was like further enough away where like it wasn't gonna like go all the way down that far. Then I was like, okay, like I feel okay now. I have literally everything that is important to me. I have a vehicle that I literally can live in. Like even if that place burns down, I'm like, I'm totally fine. Like
this is the call to action you've been waiting for.
Yeah, it was like like, oh,
ready to be off the grid.
Yeah, well, I was like, this is it. Like let's do it. Like I'm ready to go. But it really like gave me like confidence in like what I have and what I don't have. Like we kind of have like 6 compartments of clothes, and that's pretty much it. Like my backpacking gear, and that was it. Nothing. Like it was like, oh, I don't really have.
This is when it pays to be a minimalist.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It was tough. It was like I was like, I have like 13 pairs of Chucks. I'm like, I got to grab a couple choice pairs. I left so much shit. I have like and it's funny because I was like, all right, like, obviously, like I lost my house to the ex, you know what I mean? I lost, like, this is not the fucking first time I've lost a home in my life. But I was like, here we go again. I just got my place like dialed in. You know what I mean? I'm like, it's like that fucking part of like
me too.
Fight Club.
I just
when he's like
redid my apartment.
So coffee table, the place is complete. Also blows up. You know what I mean? So I was like, here we go again.
Burned again.
Yeah. I was like the same thing. I was like, fuck, I did just like remodel and do this whole fucking apartment. Like spent like $8,000. I'm like, fuck it. Well, whatever. At least I got like everything I need though.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people that bailed, dude, that like weren't even under evacuation orders. They're like, I ain't waiting.
Yeah.
They got out of town.
I mean, I don't blame them.
LA's a fucking like a soft town like that. Like there are people like, this is too much for me. I got to get out of here. It's
the people that aren't from here.
Yeah.
But then there were people on the opposite end of that felt the same way and were like, I've been through these like 20 times and my house never fine. And then they're like, ended up having to evacuate and their houses burnt down.
There's
like,
also
they didn't fucking have anything.
There's also a lot of people that stayed and defended their house and saved their house. Especially like Altadena. There's a bunch of videos of like the homeowners just staying, filling up their trash cans with water and just fighting, dude. And even like Palisades, Malibu too, man. They were like using their pools, or they've invested in like their own little home fire protection. Yeah. Anything you could do like that, man. There's that video of that guy saying that he put one of those like wavy sprinklers like on his roof, and that saved his house.
Really?
You know what I mean?
That's ballsy shit though. Like seeing that fire from as close as what we did, it was horrifying. I couldn't imagine it being like at your doorstep and being like, I'm gonna fucking.
Well, you're not gonna save an apartment building, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
but here's the thing, dude.
But
like,
still,
if it's like your house, some of these people had their homeowners insurance policy cancel their fire coverage already. You know what I mean? And like, if you've just been paying into this house for like 10 years, 20 years. That's like your all your equity, you know what I mean? That's like your retirement plan. Like you can't see that shit go up in smoke.
You know what's crazy, man?
Even if you have your policy still, it just pays off what you owe. You know what I mean? What they're going to say the value is, like, you're not getting all your equity back. Yeah. So I could see why somebody's going to be like, shit, dude, like, unless I see firefighters here at my house protecting it, I got to do something. You know what I mean? But again, like, you don't want to go out like that too.
It was the first time in my life that I actually felt really good about not being a homeowner. I was like, it's good. Yeah. It's good to be poor, I guess.
Goes up in smoke, dude. Yeah, literally, man.
Yeah. Made me definitely think about home ownership in a different way too, where I was like, oh man, maybe this isn't like, that's not a great idea to like get like a home and invest all this money into it, and like it can go up in flames, or like, especially out here, there's so many variables with like earthquakes, mudslides,
anywhere
fires.
Though, dude. You know what I mean? Like it's just everything's kind of a risky investment. Yeah. You know, but having a house, like, there's things that can happen like in every state almost, dude.
Yeah. It just definitely made me like, maybe just the, renting and bopping around kind of a thing.
That building's been there forever. You know what I mean?
It's true. I mean, I was like, it still was unscathed. It didn't like have any damage to it. It was just basically like close enough to scare the shit out of everybody. Yeah. To where it was like, okay, but yeah.
Now the fire department jumped on that one, man. They took care of that, dude.
Like 20 minutes before, like my roommate called, I left to go down the street, and I was like, yeah, dude, like, don't worry. Like, I've been here for like 20 years. No, I've never been like, evacuated for anything. Never had any problems with earthquakes or nothing. I'm like, we're fine. It's totally fine. And then
that's
he's
like, you guys have been here. You guys have seen other fires, dude. Every year there's fires somewhere. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's been other big fires too, but we never had anything like this.
Not this close. Like not
just this big period, dude. You know what I mean? Like, that's why it got so close. You know what I mean? Like, we've never had wind like this. We've never had like a fire like explode that fast.
I wonder if
blow in two directions at the same time. You know what I mean? Like,
if crazy. I wonder if the Running Canyon fire was because of like embers from other like valleys or mountains and stuff that like got over to that, or if it was because that is such like a highly traveled area where people are like smoking joints and whatever, or like leaving garbage. That and one, shit.
I was like under the impression that the running one was like a warming fire gone awry that started up the fire in the fucking deep in Waddles.
What do you mean a warming?
Like
fire?
There's like a homeless encampment that like the fire they're using to warm themselves started a blaze, and then the fucking winds just fucking took it out of control and shit.
Maybe, yeah.
And then that's what, because it's completely removed from any other fire.
Yeah, there's a few like that, and that they think are arson.
Yeah.
There's a video of them catching the guy with the blowtorch or whatever.
Really?
On TikTok, like in West Hills.
Yeah.
And the Kenneth fire was there.
Yeah.
There's also been like a lot of, the homeless people like starting little fires.
Yeah.
Like around like downtown, different parts of LA. When I was like driving back from work the other day, I think it was Wednesday night, there was like a small, like, grass fire on the side of the freeway on the embankment in two different parts of the freeway, on the 105, on the 405. There was videos of little fires like that starting like around like, downtown, different parts of LA that just don't take.
Yeah.
But it's part of what's happening. You know what I mean? I'm sure they're going to say that they're going to find that some of this was arson.
For sure. Absolutely.
I think that Eaton fire, they think it was a down power line. Or like a transformer exploded or something in the canyon.
Yeah.
So that's on Edison.
Yeah, that's
Palisades fire. I don't know exactly what it was.
Yeah, that's like I was, watching like from Palisades fire. There's a lot of people that I've met over the last like week that lost their homes from there, and also that the land that they had built their properties on, or that the properties were built on originally, were sectioned to be able to build on like these cliffs and stuff. But because it was like, 50, 60 years ago, like these houses are so old. And now like the zoning and the laws and stuff, that you're not allowed to build on them anymore. So even if they wanted to rebuild on the same lot, they legally can't anymore. So like there's going to be this weird thing where like all those like super, big $1 million houses that were right on the PCH, like on the the beachfront, like a lot of that land is like illegal to build on. Like you can't build on it anymore. So I think that's just going to be like not houses anymore. It's just going to be like the government's going to own it. It's going to be like, government land or something.
The governor already said that he was going to like waive environmental protections and everything to let people rebuild.
Oh, really?
Huh. Yeah.
Interesting.
Where they were. Because they have the Coastal Commission or Coastal Environmental Quality something like that. CEQA.
Some acronym.
Yeah. That anything you want to build, on the coast or in Malibu, I think within like 5 miles of the coastline, it can fall under their review.
Really?
You know what I mean? Where they can put environmental protections on, what you can do or can't do, But yeah, for all the people that already had houses there, you said that he's waiving all that so people don't have any like roadblocks rebuilding.
Jesus.
The issue, dude, is like, how's the insurance companies going to pay out all of that? They don't have $150 billion,
right?
Or whatever the estimate is to like rebuild everything,
right?
And like for people like that aren't from LA, because it's like big nationwide story around the world. Like
plus the
Palisades is like exactly. Palisades is like the LA's city portion of Malibu. Basically, you know what I mean? Malibu is under LA County. It's its own city, but they have like the LA County Sheriffs and LA County Fire Department.
Yeah.
And then Palisades is like adjacent to it, but it's within the city limits of LA and have LAPD and LAFD, right? But it's a big town, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's huge.
And it's got its own like downtown and shops and restaurants and, it's a huge community.
Yeah,
and
I didn't realize how big it was.
All these people lost their homes. All those businesses are burned out and everything now. And it's not just people that live there. Like all those houses had like a staff kind of, or for the most part, they either got a gardener or a housekeeper or a nanny or all three.
Point. Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All those restaurants had a staff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All those people are like out of jobs.
Right.
And there's not really like GoFundMe's for them.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like charity's not like reaching them in the same way because they're not really the residents,
right?
But it's still, you know what I mean? Like it's the displacement. There's ripples, for all of that, and it's like you wipe out like a whole community like that. People want to dunk on them, saying that they're rich or whatever. Everyone's gonna bounce back. It's a devastating thing, dude.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? Like no matter what people's situation is. That's still so much to try to come back from, dude. It goes so far, and with how it affects like the rest of the city, because then all those people need somewhere to live now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
While they rebuild, it's not going to be rebuilt that fast. And then who's
Right.
going to rebuild everything?
Right.
They want to
Yeah.
deport all the construction workers, basically.
Well, that's
You know what I'm
no
saying?
shit.
So it's
that's the other end
there's
of this.
a few challenges coming up.
Yeah. If the next administration follows through with what he was saying, it's gonna take like fucking 20 years to do it. You know, like if they get rid of everybody that does construction.
Yeah, dude.
It's-
And the construction materials, like if we're going to like a tariff war with Canada,
Yeah.
that's where we get a bunch of building materials from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's devastating, and I didn't realize how large of an area that was. They show like the size of the Great Chicago Fire, and this Palisades was 8 times larger, and that was at the like 2 days ago. So I'm sure it's even like probably 10 times larger than the Great Chicago Fire. Like,
yeah, no, they said the area that's burned already, like combined in
twice
LA County,
the size of Manhattan.
Yeah, it's like bigger than San Francisco.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's fucking huge.
There were, because people are counting the 2 big ones that everyone's seeing on the news. There were 15 fires in the last 5 days in LA County that are like brush fires greater than an acre.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It's a lot, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That are just ongoing.
yeah,
And they've got to manage that with like the resources they have. And then that's the other problem that came up was like, you know, people pointing out deficiencies of the LAFD and what they were, you know, able to do.
Yeah.
Because they did have their budget cut, their staffing's down. You know what I mean? Like on my podcast, Please Remain Calm, where we talk to first responders and we do a bunch of like 911 stories, and like, you know, my brother's a firefighter, he co-hosts with me.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a few episodes about their staffing crisis.
Yeah.
Because there's a few factors that go into it. The when they have big hiring waves for LAFD, all those guys come on together at the same time, and then everybody starts to retire at the same time.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of guys who are firefighters that were getting ready to retire, man. They've been on for like 30 years or so, and they just weren't able to replace those guys, you know, fast enough.
Yeah.
You know?
But there's a waiting list to get in too, though.
Not really, man. Like
Really?
we had like the head of like recruitment or whatever on the show, and he's basically said the only person you're competing against is yourself. As long as you can meet the standards and pass everything, you got a job, because they need people, dude. They need people. And even with the positions they have, even if they filled all the positions, they've done studies to show that the fire department is still understaffed. They still need to open, I think the chief said like 60 more stations.
Yeah, that's
No
what
way.
I heard.
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
I heard that too.
Yeah, they've closed stations, they've closed companies. There were stations that were larger that are now smaller.
Or
You know
they're
what I
just
mean?
underfunded. They need like re-infrastructure. Like they need like new trucks, new fucking HVACs, like all
like the
sorts of
size
shit.
of the department is the same as it was, or a little smaller than it was when the city had 2 million people.
Right.
And now the city has like 4 million people.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And everyone's doing the same. If anything, there's more work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I think just like everything else, like it's not the last 2 years of administration, or the last 5 years, the last 10 years. It's like ongoing thing for like decades where people just were kicking the can down the road, like, oh, we'll get around to it, you know, like with the fire department and the police department and the homeless situation and the housing situation, and they're just like, we'll fix it later, and now all this shit's like finally compounding and building up to where it's like, all right, now we're really in a bad situation, and now how do we get out of this? Now it's going to be like really, really hard to like come out of that, you know?
Yeah.
So what do you do as a state, if, you know, let alone like the 3rd largest economy state in the country, or in the world?
Yeah. And that's the thing. Now is the time where we're going to see what changes happen.
Right.
Because obviously it has to now, because we've already like gone through this. All these crises converge. And we still have all the same regular problems that we had in LA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus now a big section of the city is burned down.
Yeah.
And all those people are displaced.
Yeah.
You know
Well, I mean, you can kind of look at it too, like it happened to probably the most influential group of people in the state. That area has some of the wealthiest people in the country. So if anybody could get pissed and make any changes, hopefully those people can use their influence to get some things done and really make a focus on, not only that area of the state, but the rest of the state, and be like, hey, we need to fucking do
that's
this.
how it seems like it is so far. Like the response from everybody, at least for all like locals and Los Angeles people, is like stepping up to help.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like coming together, looking out for each other. I think it's the rest of the country that's like looking on this, like trying to like, dunk on us for different reasons. And everybody had it coming, all this bullshit, which is just like, really, dude?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it makes you think too, like when we see other things happen in other states. I'm not saying like we talk shit if like there's a hurricane or something.
Right.
Or like when there's
Florida, where there's a
mass
hurricane
shooting somewhere else or something.
Yeah.
Or like that. Like we might like, think like, oh, they don't know what they're doing, or like when are they gonna
like when the
fix
levees
this or some shit
break
like
in
that.
New Orleans, be like, why
But
are you
really-
building on there?
Yeah, but we're not there, dude. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And we don't
Yeah.
know what it's like to have that shit happen. You know what I mean? Nobody does it. The people that go through it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
It is nice to see the community coming together, like on a super big level. Like everybody's like donating food, donating clothes. Like everyone's kind of like the people that we've both interacted with in the last week. You've kind of all experienced this trauma together, some in greater ways than others, but you're all kind of like, hey, like, are you okay? Like, what can we all do to help each other, like, get through this kind of fucked up thing? It kind of feels like almost like COVID, but like, not as isolated. It's like the unisolated COVID where you can like go and talk to everybody and be like, all right, hey, we're going through this weird thing together. Like, how do we like, make this shit better now?
Right.
So it's kind of, the positive part out of, such a negative impact.
Yeah, totally. And I think that's how it is for the people that are like from here, or like you guys that have been here for like 20 years.
Yeah.
It's like you have like some pride in this place now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's your home now.
Mm-hmm.
You look out for the other people that like feel the same way. And I think a lot of like other people who might have been like too soft for here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this like was part of a little, wash them out, dude.
Yeah.
The people that are talking shit and they're like, oh, I can't, fuck this place.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
How's your dad feel about this? Is he like, man, they got to retire? Or like, oh, I wish I was on the fucking front lines, helping
Hell
them?
no, he doesn't wish he was on the front lines, dude. He was an engineer with the fire department, so you guys would drive the fire engine and pump the water and all that stuff, make sure the water pressure's up. So this would suck. You know what I mean? The problems they were having with water, dude, hydrants going dry, dude. They're trying to like draft out of fucking people's swimming pools and shit. Like,
hats off to the firefighters,
bro.
man.
For real.
And
Like,
and another thing too, like not even all that stuff with the water pressure, driving a fire engine through that shit. You know what I mean? Like through like walls of flame, like trees are falling down around you, dude. And you're trying to get like to a ridge and like try to bust a U-turn on a tiny ridge and not tip over this gigantic fire truck.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
dude, it's scary. It could be so.
Plus the
so
wind
scary.
too. The wind's hitting the fucking
dude.
giant rectangle like that.
yeah, dude.
Yeah, that ain't easy.
My hat, my hat goes off to those guys, man. Any of those guys, anybody that is a firefighter, whether you're from Mexico or Canada or the US, like all those dudes, like in the front lines, going towards what I saw, like that in itself, just seeing that, and I was like, you ran at that. I'm like, that's fucking crazy.
Dude,
like
Danny
that is
been
like
home
some
at all in the last
ballsy
week?
ass shit.
He's been working, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my cousins too, man. My cousins are LA County Fire. And that's like hard ass work too, dude.
Fuck
like
yeah,
brush
it
fire,
is.
it's like brush fire and high rise fire are the worst parts of working. Like that's like the hardest shit. Cause like
There's no
you
really way
gotta
to
you gotta
fucking
take
tackle
the
it,
tools and shit and the hose. You gotta keep laying hose up to the mountain, up the spot like that you're headed to work.
Mhm.
And then after carrying all that shit and getting up this fucking mountain with all the smoke, then you got to start working, dude, in that
Yeah.
and just like chopping brush, dude. You know what I mean? Clearing out brush, ripping a chainsaw through brush and just clearing a line out. You know what I mean? It's like back-breaking
Yeah,
work.
it's
You know what I mean? That
fucking
you have to
hard
do
labor.
in terrible conditions after you do this long hike, carrying all this shit, dude.
And you're breathing in all that shit too. That's the thing that I have a buddy that works as a fireman up in San Francisco, and he was like, a lot of like retirees are finding that like, they're getting a lot of like cancers and lung cancers and like shit from breathing in all that smoke. All like, think of like any like fire, car crash or a building. Like it's not like naturally like
not
okay.
wood.
Yeah, it's not like
fucking,
wood that's burning. It's like
asbestos.
plastic and metals and liquids and all sorts of weird shit that you're like, they're just like, all right, get in there. And they're like, they have masks on and stuff, but it's not like 100% like protecting them. Like they're still being affected by all those, chemicals and type of like, things that they're inhaling. Like it's going to affect you. So it's like even more so like, Jesus Christ, like those guys are really putting themselves in harm's way to like protect all of us. And it's fucking, it's amazing. It's amazing
man. So it's like when you think about it like that, and then you see like all these like videos and like clips of like other like news people around the country like trying to like talk shit and like dunk on the firefighters that they lost control of it or whatever, it's mismanaged or it's DEI or there's a woman chief or whatever.
No,
like, that's just so lame, dude. Like what they're doing and what they're going through. Do you think like they deliberately mismanage this or some shit? Like it's 100-mile-an-hour winds, dude.
And there's like 1,000 pieces of that puzzle that are the reason for like
why it got so bad.
Why it was so bad. Also, it was like a large natural disaster. That's like blaming like fucking, I don't know, somewhere where there was a tsunami and be like, well, you could have been better planned. You could have built like a big brick wall and stopped it. Like, yeah, I guess you could have, but like it was a giant natural disaster that like nobody could have planned for. Like nobody would have like logically like put that much preparation into the budget because it doesn't make sense. You wouldn't expect something like that crazy to happen.
Yeah.
Like we have fires all the time in California, but not to that extent and like that long and like that, like, dude, there's like fucking, I don't know how many people from different countries came in to like help with this and it's still going. It's still going on right now. Like,
and that's
like
the thing
every
too.
like 5 minutes.
That demonstrates like the fire department's point. Like you see what it takes to do this and do this successfully.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So why would you like short them?
Yeah.
And why would you like cripple their ability to do it and then go back and like criticize them for it?
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? That's crazy, dude.
Yeah. It's
hopefully after all this, like the fire department gets like the proper funding and just really kind of, make sure that's safe from now on. Like there's just like an abundance. I'd rather have like just firefighters just kicking it around. Like you see the fucking construction guys not fixing the potholes in the street, just like 3 guys to a hole. You know what I'm saying? We're just like, how is the road crew
that's
so
like
overstaffed?
That's already like the perception that they try to use to like not fund them. Like these guys sitting watching TV.
I've never thought that about the LAFD though. I've never been like,
dude, and that's
these
the
guys
thing too,
like, because if you live here, you really realize like, dude, there's shit going on all the time. Like they're like,
yes.
I mean, and I wouldn't even like, go as far to say like in compare, because I feel like the LA like PD is also busy doing shit because there's now they need to get a little more on the fucking like homeless scenario because I've seen a lot of shit going crazy. We're like, why are you not fucking with that guy? He's like literally fucking like wielding a sword and shit. They're driving by. You know what I mean? But like,
or the Rough Riders driving through the neighborhood.
For
and
sure.
Like nobody
Yeah,
has
exactly,
like licenses, but then I'll get like a fucking you went over 5 miles an hour and it's speeding down. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, all these people like
there's a guy driving an ATV right next to you right now. Like, what the fuck is going on here?
What are those fucking like car things where they block
street takeovers?
Street takeovers.
Yeah.
Dude,
I'm like, how is that? How is that not just like? Why don't they just like barricade everyone in and be like, all right, you're all ticketed or some shit?
Drives me nuts. Dude.
Yeah, like I don't know. But again, there's like so many fucking people here that it's like, how I'm sure it's got to be really difficult to figure out like
it's not
what you have to fund because it's just growing. It keeps growing. It's like people.
And we got a little loose on the fucking on like the laws for that kind of shit for like the street takeover, all that's like weird petty shit. There was like whatever it was with things under like $1,000 penalty were no longer like being put in jail. You just get like a ticket and you have to come to your court appearance, and then people don't go to those court appearances, and then just.
I think because everything's backed up. It's like the LAPD and like the DMV are like one and the same. It's just like everyone's like overworked, underpaid.
The DMV doesn't
there's
exist
like way
anymore.
too much. There's
kiosk.
like way too much backup. There's like for people to go to courts. There's like probably fucking like backlogs of like years of people like lined up. There's just not enough infrastructure for any of those things to operate as smoothly as they need to be with the size of the population that we have. It's just like way too.
You kind of nailed it. So the thing you're saying, like where it's any theft under $950 is a misdemeanor, not a felony.
Yeah,
it says if everybody's like a felon for that. Then they all have to be in jail.
Yeah,
held in jail, and there's just not space.
Yeah, they're just like, all right, well,
and it was easier to make that a misdemeanor than it was to like build more jail.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like we have enough jails. Though. I mean, like
Nah, dude.
Those are like overpacked and like like everything and like
And that's why they show those videos of like the prison in El Salvador with like 700 dudes
but
in
it
a
goes
cell.
both ways though, because I feel like if you actually did get fucking like, you know, thrown in jail, it would make people less, you know, prone to do that kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? Like if you were getting fucking locked up for like anything over like a $50 infringement, like, you know, you would be like, I'm not gonna do that shit. Like I'm not fucking like gonna go to jail for some shit. I'm not saying lock everyone up for like stealing a candy bar like Andy Dufresne and shit like that.
Yeah.
But like there's like but
that's what was happening. That's why they got rid of cash bail the same way, because like people were in jail because they couldn't have bail money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But then it's probably more expensive to house those people in a jail than it is to like you know, if they just like let them go and be like, hey, like don't do that, or like, you know, under the whatever the dollar amount is, it's probably super expensive. Like for the court system, for the incarcerating them and keeping them locked up, like all that shit adds up. It's all like taxpayer
but it
dollars.
also like wrecks their life, where like they get fired from their job, like shit happened because they were in jail and couldn't get out of jail.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Which then makes them more likely to commit crimes.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's like what you see with, you know,
interesting cycle. But if you get rid of the people that are in jail still for fucking marijuana, fucking like, you know, infractions, you'd have a lot of room to put these people that are fucking doing street takeovers and dumb shit like that. Like the fucking, all the smash and grabs. Like that was a thing that happened after the fucking, like that, Gascon thing with like, but basically it's like, all right, no one under like $950 is going to be going to jail. So everyone's like, well, fuck it. I'm going to go like, you know, just loot places and shit. And like, that's crazy. I mean, what was the last like 4 years you really kind of saw the surge of that?
I think
like you see more of it like on the news, but I think that's been going on for a while. I think that blew up more with like social media, dude.
Yeah.
Because like people could like plan doing that shit together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like another like offshoot of like flash mobs.
Yeah.
Like smash and grab mob.
I think you see like a lot of that.
I mean, people just sing acapella together now.
I know, right? That's what I'm saying. Like people find new ways to be worse assholes, dude.
Well, and I also feel that same thing too about the like the fire thing with like the, because I saw some like
people
video,
looting
some guy was like
after the fires and stuff like that.
No, well, looting after the fires, but more over like this, like the copycat arson type shit where there's a guy that's like on PCH. He's like, hey, there's a fire right there. And there's like nothing else around. And he's like, then he like cuts. He's like, there's another fire there. I'm like, are you lighting these fires right now? Like, it seems a lot like you just happen to be the guy in the spot. Like, you know, you're like fucking Nightcrawler and shit like that. Just like,
I think you have like people, like especially in this state, I think you see there's like a giant, obvious wealth gap that is like blatant in everyone's face all the time. And when you have people that don't like have a place to live or can't like really get any food, or they have mental health issues, and then on the same street you see someone driving a Ferrari and, you know, crazy wealth differences, where you see like you kind of start to see like a resentment towards like these different groups of people from both sides. So when I hear like people are looting like the houses, I'm like those people are wrong to do that and are assholes. But at the same time, they literally have nothing to lose. So like, why wouldn't they do that? And they live in a place where they're
but you can't tell me that someone like they're so hungry they need to steal a 75-inch TV. It doesn't make any sense. Like that's like,
no, but if they don't have anything to lose, and like for the examples that like Ben was just saying, like if someone gets like a misdemeanor or something like that like makes them lose their job, and now they don't have any money, and then they get
because they don't,
and then they're out on the street and they see, you know, like people, you know, going to like these fancy restaurants and driving fancy cars, and you like there's always that like blatantly like kind of like showcase of wealth in this town, and there's also that showcase of poverty. So like if you have those people that are like not doing good at all, they're probably like, fuck all these people, I'm gonna rob all these fucking people. I don't care. Like what else are we gonna lose? I mean, I'm gonna lose a job I don't have.
People feel anyway, man. But then it's like a philosophical discussion, because then is crime deterred by punishment, or is it deterred by individual morality?
Yeah.
More, you know what I mean? As if it was deterred by punishment, there probably wouldn't be crime, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, well, it's the thing. I mean, it is interesting because like as punishment has gone down for that kind of stuff, morality's also gone down too. There's like people don't have the same moral value they had, where it's just like, you know, you look at like when we were kids and used to go trick or treating, and the bucket was like, just take one candy, and like most people would do that. And then there'd be the asshole that just pours the whole fucking thing and is like, you know, trick or treat bucket and keeps on moving. Now I would say it's exponentially larger the amount of people that would do that, just steal all the candy thing. That's just the trending of society.
But is that from people being soft on crime, or is that just from other things making people be more assholes in general?
It is. People are more entitled now than ever, and there's no longer that like, man, my shit sucks, I need to figure out my stuff. It's like, no, fuck that, I'm better. This guy's got more money than me. I'm gonna get mine because they got theirs, and that is kind
that's what I'm saying. But that's like attitudes and philosophies.
Yeah, it's like a nature versus nurture thing.
Yeah,
more
than people being worried about what's gonna happen when they get busted.
Well, I think it's because a lot of times too, when you look at obviously with like there is the hated billionaires, right? Like that's like, tax the rich and all that kind of shit. And there's like this hatred towards those people. So when you have people that are like on the streets and there's like that, like hate anyone that has more than you is kind of the vibe. So
well, I think it just all stems from, again, like price of wages have not increased over time, like how inflation and cost of living has increased. And like we've talked about it before with like prices of houses. Like when our parents bought a house, it was like 20 grand and now it's like 500,000 to get a starter house. So like all that shit. So it's just building the anger, like over that, like, 3 decades, 4 decades.
Hating anyone that has more than you.
Right.
It's hating things being unfair.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And it just gets compounded over the years. And then by the time, like now where I think it's come to like a peak point where it's like, okay, like, fuck, I'm working 3 jobs. Like, I'm not making enough money. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. Like, fuck all this. Like, I don't have anything. And then again, like you contrast that in a town like this where there is super wealthy and those people that are working super hard, but still can't make it by. Then you get this anger and this like, well, fuck all these people. And then you get like this kind of like resentment.
And that's how it's been all over the world throughout history, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's like how all of history is written, basically.
But not in America. In America, it's started to transition that way.
In America too, dude.
Since it's been like that, but not to this extreme. Like since like Reagan, it kind of like just started, like everyone started making less and working more, making less, working more, making less, working more. And it just started compounding and building this anger and resentment towards people that were taking advantage of that system and becoming wealthier and becoming the top 1% and gapping this wealth gap that we have now, why everybody's so pissed off. So it's kind of like a culmination of all those things now. That's why you get like the people that are like, well, fuck these people's houses and whatever, and fuck all this and fuck these rich people, because it's not necessarily them and that those people did anything wrong. It's like a fuck you to like the system that we all kind of live in and the unfairness of that system, and it's just them acknowledging it, I think, and people now maybe being a little bit more aware of it or the consequences of that system that we all are like a part of.
Kind of, but also directing like the hate or whatever, like to just those people in general.
Yeah.
I feel like that's part of the philosophy that comes from the top, from the richest people that we do hate or are supposed to hate,
right?
For the right reason, is to trickle down and have everybody else hate everybody else to deflect from them. You know what I'm saying? So it's not so much just like a class thing of like, oh, like rich people's houses burned or whatever. It's like, fuck California.
Yeah.
Fuck LA people, period.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Fuck Democrats, period. Newsom and the mayor and, lesbian fire chief, all the shit that everyone's saying or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like to keep the hate vibe going in general.
Keep them busy fighting.
Which also feeds into the thing you were saying about how just in general, people are more assholes now than before. You know what I mean? Like that's what's promoted. Yeah. And so I think like what people hate about, billionaires or whatever, or obscenely, rich people, is when they're not using the money to help society, or to give back or be good people and have good initiatives.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you can't name an Elon Musk charity.
Right.
So that's why he was like, fuck Elon Musk. Why does he get to have all the money and be a dick?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And like not help anything and like try to like, just start shit all the time. You know what I mean? But when it was like billionaires before, it would be like Carnegie, you know what I mean? Who like built all these fucking libraries and theaters and universities and hospitals and just donated everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right. Where's the Elon Musk
who's
library or
him?
the Elon Musk hospital?
You know what I mean?
Or,
And that's what I'm saying. Like the same thing. Like there's a bunch of CEOs that nobody wants to kill.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Costco CEO, people fucking love him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if
Yeah.
your
He's keeping
company's a
hot dog
good
prices the
company,
same, yeah.
yes, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Arizona iced tea.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to kill that CEO. That shit's been $1.
99 cents. We'll never
Yes.
change it. Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Loaded with sugar.
He's like, I'm losing my ass on this,
Yeah.
but I'm keeping it 99 cents.
right? But he's doing fine.
Yeah.
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 You know what I mean? The Costco guy's doing fine.
Yeah.
You know? And like the other thing too is like if you're really rich, but we think you earned it or deserved it. You know what I mean? Like they'll bid you a fucking statue, dude. Like Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No one knows he was personally a great guy or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
He beat like
It's
rape
kind of
charges and shit.
it's kind of proof that he's
You know
not
what
a
I
good guy.
But he
Rape
won like 5
charges.
rings.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
people fucking love that guy. You know what I mean? They're not going to hate on him for fucking being rich, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It comes down to like, yeah, people's individual like morals and their contributions to society
Mhm.
is like what makes you like, you know, hate it or not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a good point, though. I didn't think about the fact there's no Elon Musk charities.
Yeah.
dude.
And he's the richest dude in the world. Like, you think you'd have like one like hospital or like
Which
a
is
library
honestly,
or some
like-
shit named after.
Well, he took
When
like
they
7
say like
people to
tax
space,
the rich
yeah.
more, that's how they should do the taxes. They should mask it as just philanthropy, like forced philanthropy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Like
Is there
you,
any
you
Bezos
have
you
charities?
to,
took
Yeah.
70% off the top,
but you get like
here's the hospitals named after
Exactly.
you. Here's the freeway that's named
Right.
after you.
then they
you know
can
what I
like
mean?
fill their ego and like
yeah,
feel,
dude. Here's a college that we built that's free now from your taxes. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
that. It's kind of crazy that you wouldn't want to do that.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's what was always like weird to me about like guys like that, like Musk or Bezos or whatever. Like you have all that money, and you have a desire to be liked, too.
And
So, like,
legacy is
you
a
could
big
totally
thing.
just have everybody think you're the greatest person who ever fucking lived, dude.
Yeah.
By doing a couple things and still being richer than everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, what's the point of just keeping all that money just like sitting there to be richer than the other guys that are rich? Nobody gives a fuck, dude.
Yeah.
But if you use that in like, you know what I mean? Like,
Well, if you
just
do that, then how are you
help
going to
people.
buy Twitter? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. 44 billion, like
Yeah.
that could have done so much
Yeah.
for the world. And instead it's just like, you just made Twitter worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The
mean,
only like actually funny.
Now it's
social media
confusing.
site
You always have to say like
is, like,
X, formerly
super
known as
lame.
Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude.
So it's like Zuckerberg's doing the same thing now. Now he's like bend the knee and he's like all on.
Yeah.
You know-
He removed fact checking.
Yeah. Now
Yeah.
now all I see in my Facebook feed is like Mark Zuckerberg's anal beads may be the cause of electric fire, and you know because they don't
Which
fact check
really-
anything. So
Yeah.
it's like
Was
everyone's just
there
throwing all this
fact
crazy
checking on Facebook before? Like every time I look at it, I saw like Shrimp Jesus.
shit.
I was like random AI shit. Like I wasn't going there for facts, dude.
Yeah.
There,
Yeah.
I definitely saw a lot of like posts taken down from certain people that I knew because they were posting shit that was like oh, this was taken down because of misinformation or whatever. And I was like, good, like that's fucking good. Like it's just spreading fucking more, it's making more stupid people, and that's not helping anybody. Like, but again, there's like this thing where it's like, how do you set up that infrastructure to make sure the things that are being said are factual, and then who determines that, and how do
Here's
you
the thing,
determine
though. You
that?
got to look at like
Because that's a whole slippery slope, you know. We're like,
It's not really that much of a slippery slope, dude. Just people just have to care.
exactly.
If nobody cares, then it's just gonna be slop like it is.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
Okay, the problem is this: like, you look at like social media and the internet now is basically the new newsstand, right? So you used to go to the fucking newsstand, you had like the Washington Journal, the New York, like or LA Times, and then you had fucking like the National Enquirer, and you knew that the shit in the National Enquirer was probably not true. Bat Boy is probably not a real thing, right? And people just will read anything like the fires in the Palisades were deliberately set to hide the tunnels under Diddy's
Yeah.
home and all this kind of shit. So it's like, do you really think that's the case? They're gonna fucking burn a massive fucking like metropolis over some Diddy tunnel hiding videotapes and type shit. It's just like, if you need a fact check
I
for
know.
that, you need an actual fucking psyche valve.
But that's
more
the
than
thing
anything.
too, man, is
Yeah.
like there's an economy based on that
Right.
bullshit. And like
Yeah.
if you can manufacture bullshit,
Sure.
Facebook pays you.
right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Fucking Elon Musk pays you.
Yeah.
To bullshit
needs to be
and get
like-
views.
An independent source, or like 3 independent sources that we collectively like agree like these 3 like entities can fact check
Yeah, dude.
all the social media,
We
and
had
like
that
it
shit.
can go
was
through like a filter or
CBS,
something.
Yeah,
NBC, and ABC.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now everybody thinks it's all bullshit.
Yeah, it's really like just the dumbing down of America, like with all that stuff, where it's just like fucking so crazy that there's so many non-factual things that people are just like, oh yeah, that's it. Like I saw it on my Facebook feed. I saw it on Instagram, or I saw one guy do it. Like the flat earthers are like the perfect example of that. Like there's literally like a whole fucking community of people who think the earth is flat.
Yeah.
And like now that there used to be just like a couple of those wackos like walking around, and now they have like a community online that's like
Dude,
all
like,
the crazies all over the world can be like,
conventions.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so it's like that, but with every other topic and subject. And so it's just like now, yeah, like you said, it's
But if you
this
look at
big,
anything
like,
through any filter, you'll
shitstorm.
find enough stuff to back up your crazy ass theory, and then you just like, and then you find like-minded people, and that's just like, that's just
And at the base of
So
it
which
is
one?
somebody
I
that
mean-
was getting paid to bullshit you that you should think that.
right.
Yeah.
You know what I
Right.
mean? And you don't think that they're getting paid
all
to
your
do it.
QAnoners and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like the monetization or something should be like taken away if like you're deemed to be not like a factual source or something like that. Like you can't make money off of bullshit. So why?
But there
why
it goes.
do
There
Yeah, but
again
that's
goes
not
the
how it
problem
works
because
right now.
I know.
But
I know. It doesn't
it
work
goes
like
back
that.
with like the National Enquirer type thing, which is like, dude, that is not a factual product, like publication,
Right.
and they make money off it. So like, you can't say they can't make money off of that. Like, what people do with that knowledge is their own fucking stupid thing.
That was
But,
kind of
like-
like the first like misinformation source was the National Enquirer. Like I watched this Jerry Springer documentary, and the guy that was the head of National Enquirer, he was like, oh yeah, like I just did what I did with the National Enquirer to the Jerry Springer show, like just put a bunch of like the craziest shit on.
Yeah.
It didn't matter if it was true or not, just fucking like, bat boy, born with the devil, like all like all the stupidest shit. And he's like, it just, people wanted to watch the crane car crash. And so it's just like that kind of stuff where it I don't know how to like fix that though. Like, because like the free speech thing is where
Again, dude, people just have to care, man. Nobody cares now. So like there's a huge tolerance for bullshit, and people deal in bullshit. People's fucking livelihood is bullshitting.
Yeah, well, exactly.
You know
and
what
the
I
other
mean?
thing too is
And
like
people want to consume bullshit. You know what I'm saying? So once it becomes like exposed for what it is, and people feel stupid for consuming bullshit and making bullshit, then that's how it gets fixed, dude.
But
You know what I mean?
but how can those people learn that they've been taken and conned if the only source of information they're getting is from someone that's conning them?
That's what I'm saying. Somebody has to care that they're being conned.
Like,
You know what I mean?
like somebody could, but like if they're only getting it from the source, it's like you're kind of fucked. Like,
Yeah, no,
like,
I know.
Nobody's like it can't be fixed. It's like they're reading one book over and over and over again.
Yeah,
and not
that's
getting
what
any.
I mean. Like those people that do it have to be shamed into not doing it. The people that consume it have to be shamed into not consuming it. You know what I mean? Not all shame is bad, dude.
Or they should like teach like in school or something, like how to like fact check properly, or how to like use multiple sources to
They
come
don't
to a
teach shit in
conclusion.
school, dude.
Yeah.
Like how to use critical thinking skills.
Yeah. You got to cite sources, dude. So they do that in school, but then what else are they trying to do is discredit teachers.
Right.
Discredit
Exactly.
the education system. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Yeah. It's been a plan since Nixon, dude, to just get everybody to be dumber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the Rockefeller School.
Yeah. We're not even on like the top. I think it's like top 30 or 40 like smartest countries in the world.
Oh, in the world, yeah.
We're like
Fuck
we're
no,
like
bro.
we're like
Come on,
75 or
man.
something. We're like super like.
We're a country
people
where
don't fucking-
everybody has a podcast now, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Just a bunch
Yeah,
of
come on,
influencers
man.
out here. Yeah.
We're proof you can be stupid as fuck and just have a
Yeah.
podcast.
We're still gonna record the podcast even if the city's burning around us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's how smart we are.
We had an evacuation notice 20 minutes ago. We're still here.
Yeah.
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 It's getting hot in here, guys.
We might die on this podcast, but hey, you know what? Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely, I don't know. I think that the next 4 years is going to be even crazier. You're going to take restrictions away. You're going to take guardrails away. You're going to take environmental safety things away. And people are going to do it willingly and cheer for it while their houses and families and lives become destructed.
We still have the Gulf of America, so it's something to look forward to. Yeah.
Yeah.
annex Greenland, all these
By
smart-
Canada, by Greenland, yeah, all these crazy fucking
Aren't you
things.
sick of going to Greenland and not being able to pay with dollars, dude? You know what I mean? You got to convert to like fucking Greenland money. Like, fuck that, dude.
Yeah,
Greenland
it's
dollars.
crazy. If there's like a fraction of the shit like actually happens that Trump said he's gonna do, it's gonna be fucking nuts. Like this wildfire shit is gonna be like, this is that wasn't so bad. Those are the good old days when we just had fires. And it's like they say he's got he said he has 100 executive orders that he wants to implement on the first day, and all of them are like fucking the crazy
Hey,
shit.
no tax on tips though. Mm-hmm. You know,
Yeah, there ain't gonna be no people or fucking nobody cooking food because everybody's gonna be fucking deported, and it's gonna be like, I just imagine it's gonna be Biff from Back to the Future too.
No taxes on tips, dude. Like all the hedge fund guys are just gonna like say their whole fucking income
Sure.
is tips.
Yeah.
That they're only paid in tips. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
no.
yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I don't see that really coming into fruition, but like, there's the same way as the wall was never built. I think a lot of that stuff's like, I don't know, man. Like to lose sleep over that shit. Like, you know, again, all life is just kind of seeing what might be potential and being ready for that, and then like, you know, being ready to, you know, adjust for it. But like, to sit there and like fucking lose sleep or fucking hair over that shit, it's just like, dude,
I don't lose sleep over it, but I'm just definitely like, this could be like really crazy. Like all the stories that I, you know, heard of older generations of, oh, this was such a crazy time and this, and like, even with like, you know, during segregation and those kind of things, like you'd think about those things, you're like, that was fucking nuts. Like like those people lived through that. We could be going through something equivalent to that, like within the next, you know,
The crazy
5,
thing about
10
segregation,
years.
that only stopped like 15 years before we were born. Like, that's like insane.
But,
you know what I mean?
but it happened. Like
Yeah,
those
dude.
people weren't like retarded. They were like fucking like, they just were like conned into thinking that
But that's
those
the thing, though. But there's
bigoted
also like
ways were
that,
like,
the
okay.
generation like of, you know, people of our age is like that, like have this thing where it's just like, well, why are we doing so much for this other like culture? Because like they've had, you know, freedom since slavery. It's like, dude, they just got integrated into the masses like fucking, you know, 20 years before we were born. You know what I mean? There's a lot of fucking people like,
Oh, there's that
like
shit is fucking so hard to explain to like
yeah,
family or people, like other people in the country that don't like acknowledge that. Like I worked hard, I did this, and I'm like, yeah, but like
the hardest workers I've ever met.
you-
But it's already flipped back though. That's why like look what everybody's saying about this thing we're going through now. The fires it's all because of DEI.
Yeah, right.
DEI,
right,
you know,
right.
which is the new thing they say instead
It's
of
the
affirmative
new
action.
racial,
Yeah.
racist fucking thing. To
But
say.
then it's like you don't know, like, why is it even a thing? Why
Right.
is there affirmative action? Why
Right,
is there
right.
DEI? Because before it didn't matter like how qualified you were.
yeah.
You had zero chance of getting a promotion
Exactly.
or getting hired at some places unless you were a white dude.
right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it was like it was so rampant that they had to make it like illegal.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Because otherwise the shit like wasn't
Yeah.
stopping. It was
Right.
like how is that fucking fair?
So now you have like people that have had generations of head start, you know, over Black people, people that have immigrated here, and then you have white people saying like, well, it's the same. Like I had to, you know, work hard and do whatever. It's like, yeah, but you got like 3 generations of like, you know, buying a house and building up like, you know, real estate and making companies because you had the opportunity to do that. Where like the last like 80 years, like a whole like segment of people were not even able to even start doing those things. They
Right.
couldn't. They didn't have the opportunity to do that.
Right.
So it's not like an even playing field. And it's hard for people to understand that like you can both struggle, but also you can also have advantage.
The problem with those services though, man, is like there is a bunch of like red tape and corruption within them, because even with the social equity license that like, you know, Robin got, it was like the parameters in which you had to meet to get that. It's like, it's a political thing where they pat themselves in the back like, oh, we're doing this for the culture. It's like, yeah, but you're not though, because you need to make like under 42 grand a year for like 2 years prior to that. You need $10,000 to get the actual license. And then you need to have money to put down on the down payment. So it's like, you have this opportunity, but you don't have the means to get to that opportunity. You know what I mean?
Right,
So it's like,
right.
Yeah,
You have to
and very
almost-
few people will meet those parameters.
yeah, and even,
Right,
even
right.
to get that bill passed, all these people are getting paid to put that in action. So like they're fucking like, getting like, all this accolades from the community where it's like, oh, well, you're such a great person. It's like, but you're not though. And then you get tension between the cultures because of this thing that's technically a special thing for one segment of the culture, of the community. So it's just like either do it and make it really expedited and easy, or don't do anything at all, because you're actually creating a ripple effect, and then you get people.
You're
this
making
tension.
people like, oh,
Exactly,
I
which
have
is
to
going
make.
back what
I
you're
can't
saying.
make this much money. I have to make a lower
Yeah.
wage so I get this thing, and that it's like
Yeah. So we always tend to overcorrect with that kind of shit when it comes to society. It's like there's like an underserviced community that we try to do something for, and then the one that seems like they're overserviced gets mad about it, but like it's really nothing's happening for them anyways. So now there's this tension as to like, well, how come you're getting free lunch at school when I have to pay for lunch because you don't have enough money for lunch money? You know what I mean? It's just this weird fucking thing where everyone should just get fucking free lunch. You know what I mean?
But
Just
it's
make
the
it
same
fucking-
thing that it's always been, is like
Yeah.
getting everybody to fight over scraps
right.
without
Right.
asking like, why are we fighting over scraps?
for
Right.
sure.
Being
You know
the
what I mean?
wealthiest fucking nation in the world too.
Yeah.
On
Yeah.
top of all the shit we've just been bitching about for the last
dude.
like hour. It's like, and we are the richest fucking country in the world.
Yeah.
Why do we have to talk about this? Why is any of this shit a problem?
Mhm.
We're like the fucking like baller ass country, and we're like everybody's scraping by, and it's just fucking like it's not.
And we're all dumb.
Not
nubbies.
everybody's just
Yeah.
scraping by though.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
There's 1% that's not.
1% isn't.
Yep.
We'll find out that answer next week. Right?
Yeah.
I know you got to go. We can wrap this up. 7:00 on the
We're
dot.
good.
We'll get you back to work. Ben's
Yeah,
got to
bud.
go save the rest of LA.
Thank you guys.
Any plugs you want to do before you get out of here?
Oh yeah, I have a comedy special, you guys. Full Custody, FOOL Custody on YouTube. Ben Gonzalez with 2 Z's. Look it up.
What about you, Tony?
TonyKleinComedian.com, and that's my Instagram handle as well. Check me out for upcoming shows. We got a show here in 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
And Eric, go ahead.
Check me out on this podcast, The Eric and Tony Show. Go to theericandtonyshow.com, buy a t-shirt or a mug, support the show. Go on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. That's it. Yeah.
Thanks to Petty Cash for letting us film here and braving the fire as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Alex and Mark. And thank you, Ben Gonzalez, for
Thank you guys.
coming on.
Yeah.
Right on.
Appreciate
did
it.
it.
All right. Peace.
All right.